generation. It's super simple. We promise it's simple. We, however, do not promise that it's easy. We know that it's not easy. We've been like working on this and chipping away at this for years and years and years. And by no means do we think we're perfect at it, but we do think we have some cool things to share to kind of take it down to the very like basic and fundamental level so that you guys can all sell more houses. That's the whole goal. Cool.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll fill you in a little bit more on us. But in general, the more interactive we can make this, the better.
Yeah.
It's more fun for us. I think you'll get a lot more out of it. Jordan, if you've got some questions specific to kind of your agents in your market, anybody else at any point, put it in the chat. Wave at us. Talk, unmute yourself. Whatever you need to do. We'd love to kind of actually talk through some kind of real life scenarios with you guys. It'll just make it more fun for everyone.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so before we actually get into the nitty gritty, I want you guys all to take out your phones and follow us so that you have our contact information forever, because we want you guys to reach out to us a week from now, a year from now. So connect with us on Instagram, and our Facebook profiles are just our names. So you guys should be able to find us on both those platforms. And then also you can copy down our email address, but we will take your questions. We will take your anything you guys need, like for life, we're here for you. And our mission is to teach and to coach, but also to build connections with amazing people across the country. That's the whole purpose. So let's actually connect and let's actually build a relationship, which we're going to talk a lot about connecting in relationships. So we want to put our money where our mouth is, and we want to be connected with you guys. Cool. So there's us in our fabulous new profile pictures that we actually showed up wearing, like
fabulous,
pretty much the same outfits today. So that was unintentional, but hey, we look pretty good there. A lot of camera work, a lot of good editing.
A lot of editing, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So Kevin and I went into business together about four to five years ago. And we were both on a big team in Chicago called MKT Properties. And they're one of the top teams in all of Chicago. We were buyer's agents in sort of a traditional Keller Williams kind of 7th level team. We were buyer's agents. We worked really well together. And quite frankly, we had a lot of fun together. We had a lot of success together, and we spun off and started our own team after having learned a lot about how to run a team, and then kind of coming to the understanding that we thought we could do it a little bit different and a little bit better in our own way. And that's how Fair Hinton Real Estate was born back in 2017-ish. And you can talk about kind of what we did to get here.
Yeah. And in general, so we have a class, a team building class, and this is not, this class is about lead gen, but we can answer a few questions about team building and whatnot. But kind of the one thing that we get all the time is, how do you know, why did you start a partnership? How's it going? All those kind of things. And the simple answer is, right, if you're thinking about partnering with somebody, right, it's kind of cliche, but you have to very confidently say, 1 + 1 = 3, right? That the two of you are collectively way better than what you can do individually. Not because you want to share expenses, not because you want a buddy, not because you want to share an admin, not because you want somebody to lament to, and that's what all your other real estate friends are, right? Yeah. So if you're thinking about forming a team, make sure that you can answer, partnering. That's kind of the number one thing that we did, and it does tie into this. And then luckily, what we found out that 1 + 1 didn't equal 3, 1 + 1 equaled 12 as of yesterday.
Yep.
So
this is outdated. We're happy to say it's actually 12 of us total.
Yeah. So and we can dive into it in a little bit more detail, but our team has grown, and
and we show you this because we are here to help, and we are here to coach and teach, and we love interacting with you guys, but also we have a whole team of people.
So lunch break now.
Who's having lunch break?
Lunch sounds great.
I know, I'm getting hungry. Okay, so we have a whole team of people who are happy to be resources to you in addition to just us. So here they are. We will connect you guys with them, but our entire team kind of lives and breathes this whole idea of lead generation. So there's more resources than just us. This is all their beautiful faces, and they are happy to help. And some of them are even on the call today. So connect with Fair Hinton, Chicago, Milwaukee, and all of us. Yeah, Catherine's waving. Catherine on our team. She's awesome. But we're all here to help you guys learn how to lead generate and make it more simple for your business. Okay, so here's a little bit about us in terms of stats. This is our 2020 results. So we sold about 50 million across 2 markets, right? So we were in Chicago and in Milwaukee, equated about 175 units, and we have 9 agents on our team. And as of Friday, we have 3 admin. So this is the whole kind of makeup. And as Kevin was talking about, like, this is not a class on building out a team. But if you guys are curious about like how many buyers agents and listing agents and admin and all the things, we're happy to answer those kinds of questions as well. So again, throw your questions in the chat, unmute yourself and just interrupt us. That's cool too. So that's Fair Hinton from 2020, and we're off to an awesome start in 2021. All right, let's rewind. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So I want you guys to take yourself back to the first day on the job. And I don't know, I mean, if you guys just want to like raise your hand or shout it or whatever, I don't know if most of you guys are new to real estate or if you have been in the business for 10 years. I'm not sure what the makeup is, but we all can kind of go back to our first day on the job. And I want you guys to think about what you thought real estate was, right? I'm sure a lot of you were in the boat that I was when I thought I had never actually met a realtor when I became one. I thought it was just like it was on HGTV, right? So my knowledge was like, and this is like late 90s HGTV too. So like House Hunters was a brand new thing. I can remember watching that in high school. And like other like Love It or List It, like all you did was like you went house hunting and you looked at cool views, and then like 30 minutes later, like voila, you sold a house. And everybody wore stilettos and like they were rich, and it was super, super cool. But of course, now that I'm flashback, to 12, 13 years later, it's like, that's not what it was at all. I really had no idea how to sell real estate for one, but then also it's all about building a business. And I don't know if you want to chime in on what you thought it was.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe as little as Emily knew, like, I think I knew even less. Right. So I think what I was like, cool, I got my license and this is awesome. Now, where are my clients? They gave me this nice little piece of paper, and I get a new one in like 45 days, I guess, apparently a fancier one. But like, where did the clients come with this kind of thing, right? So we kind of joke and use the example a little bit. It's kind of like somebody that graduates from like dental school, right? Now they are a full-fledged dentist, right? But they've got 2 jobs. They're also a business owner. Mm-hmm. So you can be the most knowledgeable, best dentist, you're top of your class, but if you also don't know how to run a business and drive clients to your practice, you're a broke dentist with student loan debt. So it's really the same kind of thing. Thank goodness the barrier to entry is a lot less expensive.
Right. There's not a lot of realtor debt on day one compared to a dentist, but it's still, you're still broke on day one.
So that was kind of and I'm joking around, but in reality, like, holy cow, now how do I make a living? And so that's what you have to learn real fast.
Yeah. And when Kevin and I first decided, to go into business together, one of the commonalities that we had and how we like bonded and sort of created a vision is that we did not come from the industry. We didn't have parents that worked in real estate. We didn't live in Chicago. I mean, well, we did at the time, but we were not Chicago natives. So we didn't have a big friend group, a big family group. Like we had to lead generate. Like we had to figure out how to get people in our world to buy and sell real estate. And that's something that we bonded on, and we created a team based on the foundation of lead generation. That's like core to who we are and what we're all about.
And I think that's a quick, important note, and we can get into more detail. But 5 years ago today, give or take, I was a golf pro in New York. So, I've only been in Chicago 5 years, new city, new job. And I think it's just good because most people that are in real estate, not many people start at 22. It's their first job out of college. So everybody did something prior. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us have done some, different things. So that's the point of that, is we've not been doing this for 20 years and all of a sudden our numbers or whatever, if you think they're good or not, it's all quite new. Yep. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah. Can any of you guys relate to that? Probably. Yep. All right, cool. All right. So let's talk about, like, again, thinking back to your like first day on the job and first month on the job, first year on the job, first decade on the job. Here's what not to do. And let us be super clear here. These things on this to-do list are very important. But we're asking you, when you think about running your business, and if you want to really capitalize on your full potential and you want to make the most money, this list here is what not to spend most of your time on. This is what to spend a little bit of time on. So it's really tempting, you guys. You get your license, as Kevin said, you get that like fancy 45-day sponsor card or whatever the heck it's called, and you go into your office and you're like, cool, now I need a logo and I need a website and I need to like work on all my Instagram posts because they have to be perfect. I need a headshot for sure. We need headshots, all these things, all these shiny objects that keep you busy all day long. Can you remember being like a new agent and you were so busy? You were so busy and yet you had no clients. Like, has anybody ever been like, I'm so busy? And you're like, really? How many houses did you sell this month? Oh, none, right? Because you're busy doing all these things that seem important and it seems like you have to get ready. And our advice here is to spend a little bit of time on this and most of your time on lead gen. Cool. Can everybody yes to that? Yes. The other thing is that this list here is, like I said, it's all like really important, but you have to have faith in the people around you. You have to have faith in people like Jordan, right? Because she's going to help you make all this stuff happen when it needs to happen. So put your faith in the people in your office leadership, your real estate colleagues and friends. You can call us, right? Like you don't need to know how to write a contract before you have a client, because the day that you guys have to write a contract, I'm sure that you will call Jordan and she will help you figure it out. Okay. You've got tons of resources around. So spend your time doing your lead generation, not doing your shiny object stuff. Okay. So you have 3 jobs in real estate. Job number 1 is super simple. You got to connect with people, right? You guys know that, right? You have to connect with people. Job number 2, you have to tell them that you're a realtor, right? Connecting with people and talking about the weather all day long is fine, but it's not going to get you where you want to go. So you have to tell them you're a realtor. And then job number 3 is lots of other stuff. It's everything else that was on that list from the previous slide, right? So to make it even simpler for you guys, you don't have 3 jobs, you have 2 jobs. Connect with your people and tell them that you're a realtor. So we're going to talk about connecting first, because that's obviously step 1. All right, so let's talk about 2020. Tell us, like, it's been so different in 2020. We used to say like, oh, go out and have coffee with everybody you know. Clearly that's not a thing anymore. So let's talk a little bit about how it's different.
Yeah, so some things have changed that it kind of ties into our lead gen in general as a team, but also just kind of how the world has changed, right? So one thing, when social media, for example, is a big part of our lead gen. It's not one of our automated 33 to 36 touches that Molly runs on our team, but it's a supplement. And the big thing there is we've had a lot more success by like actually like engaging, right? So not just posting, but like engaging, getting into your people's lives, talking to them, seeing what they need, whether you use Instagram or Facebook as a forum, however you want to do it. That's been a change and a philosophy that we have done. Another change in 2020 is we believe in, we do buyer seminars, we do seller seminars. We used to they were all in person, right? So now the big difference is we do those all virtually, and they've been really good. In Chicago, we play around with the names, but in general, we call it Cocktails and Condos in Chicago. We call it Hops and Homes in Wisconsin. I mean, maybe we have a drinking problem. That's time for
a whole other seminar,
another session. But anyway, so that was a pivot in 2020. Other than that, real estate has been pretty normal for us.
Mm-hmm.
It really has, but those were the couple things. A lot more engagement in social media, and then just all of our seminars being virtual, and they've been pretty successful.
Yeah, and I think to Kev's point, 2020 looked a lot different, and the early part of 2021 has looked a lot different in terms of how we connect with people and what platforms we use to connect with people. But what we didn't do, and what we won't do, and what we're not recommending, is to use that as an excuse to not connect. And I think it would be so tempting to be like, oh, COVID, so I'm just gonna like get under my blanket and sit on my couch and not connect with people. That's just not gonna get you guys where you wanna be. So connection looks like lots of ways, right? Kevin mentioned social media, but the phone still works, guys. Phones still work. You can call people, you can text people, you can meet with people face to face if everybody's comfortable. There's just so many ways that you can continue to foster relationships, but not doing it at all and using excuses because, oh gosh, 2020 and 2021, that's just not going to cut it if you guys have big goals and big dreams of selling a lot of real estate and growing your business.
We have some questions in the chat there.
Guys, again, we're going to just keep rolling here. But questions and how we've connected with people and what this means, like throw it in the chat, raise your hand, unmute yourself, whatever. Okay. All right, you guys. So let's talk about how to connect with people, to basically like what is the best way to connect with people to get you the results that you want, right? So I want you to think about your bank account. This dollar bill represents your massive bank account. Okay. So when you are building your bank account, you get money comes in, right? You get a paycheck in, you walk over to the bank and you deposit your money into a bank account. Maybe it's a checking account, maybe it's a savings account, whatever it is, you make deposits into that account, right? And then you get paid again, you make more deposits, and you keep just depositing into your bank account until one day your bank account is so big, and like just it's busting at the seams. You walk up to your bank and you say, you know what? Yep, like I have enough money in there. I'm going to withdraw a big down payment for a house, or I'm going to take out $5,000 and do my big European vacation, or, I'm going to take out this money and buy those fabulous new shoes that I've been talking about for a year, right? So you deposit and you deposit and you deposit, and then you withdraw. Okay. So think about your relationships in the same way. We're asking you, we're advising you when you're connecting with people to go to them and make deposits into the relationship. So ask them how they're doing, right? Add value, tell them about the market, offer to help them with XYZ, right? Make deposits into the relationship. And then one day you'll go to them and you'll say, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate, right? So we are not going to sit here and tell you guys to call everybody you know and ask them to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. That is not what we're doing. That's not what we've ever done, nor do we recommend that you guys do it, right? So we have to do it in the reverse. Has anybody ever told you guys to call everybody and ask if they're looking to buy, sell, or real estate? Probably. Yeah. And we're saying, actually, make your deposits into the relationship and focus on connecting with your people and building relationships. And then when the time comes and when it's appropriate, then you can ask for the withdrawal, right? Then you can ask for the favor, you can ask for the referral. But we want to make sure we're doing it in the right order, because otherwise we're not extracting deals from our database, or we're playing that game in our head, the voice in our head that says like, oh, I'm too salesy, right? We've heard that before.
Yeah, and to Emily's point, right? And you might even get to the point that when you add enough value, you don't even have to ask.
Right.
Right. So, first you have to fill their bank account with value. You're giving value all the time. And then one of two things will happen. Either you will just get referrals because you've just been giving value consistently, or when you do ask, it's a way easier ask and they're way more accepting of it.
Yep.
So that's, what we joke, is, don't be the friend that we all have that you haven't heard from in 4 months. And then all of a sudden at Friday at 8 p.m., like, hey, dude, I got to move my couch tomorrow morning. The movers coming at 7 a.m. Can you meet me in my condo? You're like, no, Ryan, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to move your couch because I haven't heard from you for 6 months.
Right.
But like, if this is somebody in your life that's adding value and it's a true friend and they've been there and they're giving for you, guess what? I'm like, all right, I'll be over there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and help you move your couch. So don't be the couch friend that's been adding no value but loves to ask for favors on their own timeline.
That's right. That's right, guys. Just go to that place always of adding value and making deposits.
And lastly, on that note, we're going to get into a lot more detail of what our 33 touch is. But really what we're talking about is just the quarterly calls, right? If you have a good system set up, a huge percentage of this is automated.
Yep.
Right? Emails, stickies, we're going to talk about that. But we're talking about the once a quarter that you need to be meaningfully, and we're going to get into it, calling them, texting them, that. But if all those things are value-based, it's so easy. It is so easy to call somebody and say, hey, hey, Ben and Jill, I was thinking about you guys. Did you guys appeal your taxes yet? Because I know the deadline's coming up. Oh, yes, we did. No, we didn't. That's an unbelievably easy call. Hang up the phone and move on, right? That is adding value, and that makes it really, really easy to make those touches.
Totally. We're going to go through a systematic way to add value to your clients in just a minute. This is a cameo by my sweet black lab Raven. I love her. And she's a very curious dog. So I threw this picture up here. Guys, time for questions. Any curiosities out there? Anything that we can answer before we keep moving?
Do we have anything in the chat?
Yeah. We got
those 3 little dots.
Oh, wait, hang on. We're Kevin and I are like, we're good at a lot of things, but
Okay.
Zoom and technology is not one of them. Anybody, you guys can unmute your microphone if you have anything. Cool. Moving on. Yes. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk about different types of people. Okay. So we break our database into 2 types of people. And we always laugh about this because you guys might be thinking like, oh, are there 4 types of people? No, there's 2. Are there 3 types of people? Nope. We promise, guys, there's just 2 types. Okay. And this is, again, our job here is to make this really simple for you. So 2 types of people. 1, Mets. Mets are people that you've met, right? So Mets are all your friends, your family, all your connections with, sports teams that you might be on, or church groups, or like whatever you guys do. Those are your Mets. Past clients, Mets. Everybody else is a non-Met. Okay. So for the purposes of the next few slides, we're going to be talking about your Mets, all the people that you've met. And here's why this becomes really important to split these groups in 2. Because I've done this in the past, and I'm sure you have too, Kev, where we like to take our group of people, our Mets, and we like to start to qualify them or disqualify them or cherry pick them based on their circumstances. So I'll give you a good example, actually, that happened quite a bit like a year ago. So we have a gentleman on our team named Ben. He's awesome. We love him. But Ben came to us from the restaurant industry in Chicago. And about a year ago, or maybe 11 months ago, the restaurant industry basically tanked in Chicago and still recovering. And so Ben was always tempted to look at his database or look at the people he knew, and he would pull out the people in his world that were in the restaurant industry. He'd say like, well, that's my friend Jack, and Jack's a bartender, and bars aren't open right now, so like I'm not going to put him in my database. Or he'd be like, oh, that's my friend Sally, and she's been a waitress forever, and the restaurants aren't going to be open for another 6 months, so I'm going to take her out of my database. So basically, he's pulling out all these people, all this opportunity, because he's disqualifying them based on external circumstances. And we're saying, don't do that. We're saying, if you have met this person, they are in your Met database, and that is it. Okay. If you've met them, they go in.
Yep. They're, all Mets are created equally, right?
Yes.
That's the point, right? Your Met could be your mother, or your Met could be somebody that walked into an open house. They're both Mets. Okay.
Yep.
And if you start predicting where your referrals are going to come from and start cherry picking, you will be 100% wrong.
Every time.
Because Emily likes to tell the story that she has never gotten one deal from anyone in her family, and she has a large family, right?
Never.
And I've got a couple best friends that I always joke, if you don't give me a referral, I'm going to sleep on your couch, right? Your wife would not like that. And you get, all the places you think you're going to get referrals from, you don't. And then all the places that you might think that you'd never get one from, you do. So the good thing is you don't need to think about it. They're a Met. They get an automated 33 touch. You reach out to them quarterly, and you don't even need to put any more thought into it other than that.
Yep. And let me give you one more example, because I think this one comes up a lot, especially for newer agents. If you are a newer and younger agent, you might disqualify some people in your Met database because they're too young, right? If you are new in the business and you're, in your young, low 20s, you might think, well, gosh, my friends are all too young, so I'm going to take them out, and I'm only going to put people, over 25 or whatever. Guys, if you've met them, they go in. Okay. If you've met them, they go in. Bottom line, super simple. All right. We love to beat a dead horse. So that was our
horse is dead.
Yes, but we may bring it up again. All right, cool. So guys, we're going to now talk about how to nurture them systematically, and systematic nurturing of your Met database is just forced interaction. I love Charlie Stolle's RTL here in Milwaukee, and he talks about forced human interaction. But we know how to interact with people. We just don't know when and how much and what am I saying. So we're going to tell you how to systematically force that interaction and make it seem really organic and natural. And actually, if you guys have read the Red Book, the MREA, Gary Keller's Red Book, you guys know about the 33 touch, which is what we're going to talk about. But basically, that is just a way of systematizing your communication so that you can extract the most amount of deals from the database that you already have. And the way that it actually works, the way that the math works, is basically Gary in his research and Gary and friends have determined that if you systematically nurture your MAT database, then you will pull out a ratio, or you will convert it a ratio of about 2 to 12, right? So for every 12 people in your database, you will get 2 deals. Okay. So one way of thinking about that is why don't we just say one deal out of every 6 people? Well, that goes back to the conversation we just had, right? That if you think you're going to get 1 out of every 6, you're going to be wrong, because you're trying to then predict where they're coming from. So 2 people out of every 12 means that either out of those 6 people, you're either going to get them as a client, or you're going to get them to refer you to a client, or you're going to connect with somebody in their world. So you want to think about it in 2 to 12. So the best way to do it is to take your database, you have 200 people in there, and divide it by 6. And that's how many deals you have sitting in your database. That's how much money you have if you force that human interaction, which we're going to talk about. All right. Let's think about a wedding. All right. So Catherine, you're getting married. Catherine on our team, she's on the call. You're getting married in 6 months, right? Yeah, cool.
Yes,
Okay, Catherine, how many people are coming to your wedding?
about 185.
Okay. All right, cool. So if I'm one of the guests at Catherine's wedding, which I hope I will be, Kevin and I hopefully will be there. Our job at Catherine's wedding is that we want to think about our database as Catherine's wedding. We're going to go to her wedding and we're going to get on the dance floor and we're going to try to meet as many people from her world as we possibly can and try to extract deals and clients from the dance floor at her wedding. So if you guys think about your database, like think about every single person, if you have 200 people in your database or 100, and think about not just trying to connect with them, but think about literally visualize. Okay, so if my friend Sally, think about her sitting at the head table in a big old banquet hall at her wedding. Those are all the people there at her wedding, all the 185 people that are at her wedding. You're trying to get on the dance floor of that group of people at that wedding. You're not trying to get Sally necessarily to buy a house. Sally may buy a house, Sally may not buy a house, but you're really trying to get in touch and build relationships with all the people in Sally's world. And if you think about it like that, then all of a sudden your sphere, your database becomes exponentially bigger than it is today. If you could just can visualize that.
And then to expand on that note and it's even a little bit less to do with you physically meeting those people, right? Sally will do the heavy lifting for you, right? All we need to know is that you have consistently reminded Sally that you're in real estate. That's what a 33 touch is. You're just consistently reminding them that you're in real estate in ways that hopefully add value. Then it doesn't matter. We talked about 2 stereotypes, right? Sally could be in the restaurant industry, so maybe she couldn't get a loan right now, and maybe she's 23 and plans on renting for the next 5 years. It doesn't matter. It's not about Sally's potential purchase. It's about who Sally knows, because Sally has friends. Sally has parents that need to sell their home. Sally has cousins. So all Sally needs to know is that you're in real estate, and she knows the 185 people. Maybe you'll meet 5 of them at that wedding. Maybe you won't. That's not the point. It's that Sally will do it for you as long as you've consistently reminded her and you're on the top of her mind.
Yep. All righty. Okay, guys, so let's get into it now. We've prefaced this enough. Let's talk about the actual 33 touch. And a lot of you guys know what a 33 touch is because Gary Keller talks about it all the time. It's a KW-ism. It's in the red book, but we're going to break it down for you. We call it a 33 touch. We sometimes hear it referred to as a 36 touch. It's all the same, okay? So basically what we're saying is that if you systematically connect with your people 33 times per year, you will convert your database at a ratio of 1 to 6 or 2 to 12. Okay, so that's just a reminder. Here's the way that we get to 33, and we're gonna break these down. So the first way we do it is through 24 mass emails, or 2 emails per month, and these are automated, right? These go out from our database, from our admin to our entire database twice a month. They're super simple. We'll break it down for you in a minute. The second thing that we do are stickies, and stickies are things that stick around, and those go out 5 times a year. They're a little bit more expensive, but they make a big impact, and they're a really cool way to connect with people in a way like sort of outside of real estate. And the last and sort of most important way that we connect with our people is through our 4 quarterly touches, where we literally call, text, email, face-to-face with each person in our database 4 times a year. It's super simple. All right.
Hey, Kevin and
So-
Emily, we have a question in the chat
Cool.
about
Yeah.
what CRM system we use on our team.
Oh, cool. Yeah, good question. So we actually have 2 CRMs that we use. We're in the process of converting everything out of RealVolve, which we had been using for the last 4 years, and we are getting everybody eventually over into Command, and we will be commanders going forward. We know that there have been some glitches and just kind of the rollout has been a little bit slow, but we do believe going forward that Command is going to be our best friend. Good question. Cool. All right, let's talk quarterly touches. Kat, tell us all about quarterly touches. Remember, 4 quarterly touches.
Yeah, and so first thing is you want to break it down in a way that is manageable, right? So if you're lucky enough to have a Molly Mudd and a Kim Thompson on your team, your admin staff, right? They will do that for you. And what Molly does is basically takes your entire database and breaks it down by the alphabet, so that when you start January 1st, for example, you might be touching the people whose last name is A to C, right? And then you take it another step where you say, okay, how many working days are there realistically in a month, right? There's 20. We work on the weekends a lot, but there's 20 business days, Monday through Friday, and on average in a given month, right? So then if you've got 100 people that you need to talk to in January, Molly will just break it down and you just have 5 people a day, right? And that is very manageable. It is not that hard to send 5 texts or 5 phone calls or 2 texts and 3 Facebook posts or whatever specific to somebody, right? So you want to break it down into a systematic way so you stay after it, and you want to break it down into a manageable way, right? Do not wait until January 26th and download your list and now you have 100 people and now that is overwhelming. You're way behind and that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, okay? So that first is break it down. And then secondly, the definition of a touch, right? The definition of a touch is, I have thought about you in a thoughtful way and you're aware that I did. That's really all that it is. Okay. So a touch is not one of your emails, okay, of the mass emails. It's not one of those stickies. Those are a supplement and those are important. But a touch is that, like I said, I've thought about you in a meaningful way and you're aware of it. That does not mean that you're asking about real estate. Okay.
Right.
It could be, hey guys, you're posting on their Facebook page. Hey guys, I just saw that you got back from Ireland. Oh my gosh, Declan is getting so big. Gosh, I miss seeing you guys in person. That is a touch that resonates. They will think of that. You thought of them in a thoughtful way, right? It can be the value adds, like we talked about. It can be, did you appeal your taxes? I've got a coupon to service your furnace. It can be all sorts of things. Have you thought of refining, right? Those are touches. Those are thoughtful things that you're giving. And those are the bulk of what we do. And then somewhere in there, one of those touches might be asking for a referral or who do you know that I can help, but not until you've filled their bank account, right? That you've deposited enough into their ATM of sorts.
Yep. And the reason that we explain what a touch is and really define it for you guys, because we all fall into the trap of being thoughtful and not expressing our thoughtfulness. So for example, what is today? March 9th. Okay. We all know somebody right now, most likely, it's their birthday. In fact, I know that it's my sister-in-law's birthday. Now, it is thoughtful of me to know it's her birthday, but it does not count unless I tell her happy birthday, right? So you have to go the extra step of, because you guys go like all day long, I'm sure you're thinking about your clients, you're thinking about your friends, you're thinking about your family members, and you've got all these amazing, like wonderful thoughts in your head, and you just forget to express them, or you don't take the time, you don't structure your day in a way that forces you to do that interaction part, right? Hey guys, I drove past your house this morning. I noticed that your lawn looks amazing. Bravo. Love you. See you soon. That is thoughtful. If you drive past their house and think that their lawn looks amazing, that doesn't count as a touch, right? That counts as the first half. So again, it's the forced interaction, right? You schedule your day so that you have the time scheduled and blocked out to do the interaction part.
And related, but slightly off tangent, right? We talked about some of the low inventory challenges that you have that they're the same that Wisconsin has and the single family home market in Illinois does, right? So Catherine, for example, right? We had talked about that for her, and this is a little bit less about lead gen, but a little bit more about client retention. Is, Catherine has been working and writing 10 offers for clients and things like that. And every day she wakes up and she searches all the off-market sites so she can make sure, did anything come on the market, right? That is a great thing. but it's not valuable unless her clients know that she did it.
Right.
Right. So if they don't hear from you, they assume you're doing nothing. So that's kind of the same thing here. You know, in a low inventory market, not only do you need to do your 33 touch to land your clients, you have to be good at retention, because it's going to take a while to get some of these contracts, these clients under contract. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yep.
You're being thoughtful, but if they don't hear from you, they have no idea what you're doing. So make sure you tell them.
But
what
to
you're
take that one step further, Kev, what we talked about last week is tapping into my database to see, hey, I have buyers in this specific, looking in this specific area. You live here. Do you know anyone who's looking to sell their house? And that's been a huge touch for me and makes real estate a piece of top of mind, but also I'm asking for help, and people are really willing to ask for, or to help when asked. So
And that's a very good point. So we talk about these calls are easy when you're adding value. The value doesn't even need to be the person that you're talking to. It can be for someone else. So Catherine's point is, when she gets to Bob Charles in her database and she's on the sea, she can call Bob and say, Bob used to be a former professional golfer from South Africa. I don't even know where that name came from, but I just made it up. The value is, hey, Bob, like, I know you live in Mequon. You know, I'm working with the cutest, youngest couple ever, and I just can't find them a house. Do you know anybody? I'd love to get them in there. She's due in July. I'd love to get them in there by June 1st. Right. That's a story, and that's value adding, and it's not even to Bob. Right. But that is an easy touch, and that will be received very well.
Yep. That's
the amount of houses that I had sent to my email that were on their block or in their neighborhood that obviously I already knew about, but the amount of feedback that came back from those emails was just great. And so highly recommend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And is that when we're talking about adding value, we don't have to add value to the individual person that we're talking to. We're looking to add value to the world. And another example of that is that this weekend, Catherine and I are working on a food drive for Catherine, the neighborhood that Catherine specifically lives in. So it's so easy to call our people and say, hey guys, we're doing a food drive. We're looking to add value to the neighborhood of Thiensville, the area of Mequon. And here's what we're doing. Would you like to help? Right. So we're not adding value to that individual person we're talking to. We're adding value to the community, right? Which just builds relationships and deeper connections, so that in 6 months, when we go to our friend and say, hey, do you have a referral for us? They remember that we're people who are involved in our community. We're trying to help in more ways than just real estate. So good call, Kev. Alrighty, let's keep moving. So in addition to our quarterly calls, which are absolutely the priority, if you guys have to prioritize this 33 touch list, the quarterly touches come first, the stickies come second, and the emails come last. Okay. So say it again. Quarterly touches come first in order of priority, stickies come second, and then the emails come last. So what's a sticky?
It's something that sticks around.
I don't know if is this a KW thing or is this a Phil Myers thing?
I think it's our friend.
One of our friends calls it a sticky. We've been calling it stickies forever. It's a Phil Byerism. He's our buddy in Chicago. We just keep calling it that. So we're going to stick with it. How'd you like that? We're going to stick with it. Okay. So stickies are things that stick around, but these are literally going out in the mail, guys. These are mailed items that when the client gets it in the mail and opens it up, they have one of two things happens. One, it sticks around, or two, it makes them laugh or smile or giggle or whatever. Okay. So here's just a laundry list of some examples. I know that we get this question a lot, like what should I do? What could I send out? Stickies can get expensive. So we're going to advise that you guys are really careful with your money. And in total, our stickies cost a little less than $2 per person. That's our goal. So if you guys are starting to budget and you have 100 people in your database, you can figure out like what you need to budget for your 33 touch. And everything here is easy to mail. Notice everything is flat and can be mailed, packaged, sent off easily. So good. One thing that we're doing this month, tell us about your lottery ticket story, because we're sending out lottery tickets in honor of the sort of St. Patrick's Day luck.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the lottery tickets, but one point, I'll get to that. One thing to know is, like, for koozies, for example, right? There is no more value by sending a $6 koozie than an 85-cent koozie.
That's right.
Right. It doesn't push the needle. If you do sunglasses and things like that, dollar throwaway sunglasses don't have the same amount of value of expensive $10 sunglasses, unless you're sending out Ray-Bans to all your clients or something, really, So don't keep it down, because it's about the touch. So keep your budget tight and keep that in that like $2, $2.25 all in with mailing, right?
Yep.
The one that we get a lot of, we've done a couple different ones, and I get the same grief on both of them. So two things. We send $1 to every single person in our client, right? So
Yeah.
we've got about 1,130 people in our database with addresses. So one of the touches is we go to the bank and we get 1,000 plus $1 bills, and then we mail them out. And it comes with something little cute kind of thing. Need a buck, take a buck. Don't need a buck, give a buck. Those types of things.
That's not what it said.
I know, but that's what I wanted to say, but nobody ever
Emily,
takes mine.
share what it said.
All right, we sent $1 in the mail and it said, it always pays to work with Fair Hinton. And people open this thing and they got like $1. It's like, what? I don't even know what you can buy with $1. You can buy like
Dollar General. You can get a lot.
Yeah, you can buy one item.
Not even a vending machine.
One piece of candy.
So that is one that's received well.
Yeah.
The second thing we do, and it's the two-step process, is we get our cash and then we send a lottery ticket. We send a $1 lottery ticket to all of our clients, and this I'll have a little bit closer. We typically do it around St. Patrick's Day, and we say something like, "We're so lucky to have you in our world or our life," or something like that. And we get really good feedback from it, because people are posting on Insta, "Oh my God, I won $5," or another loser. You sent me another loser. You sent me a loser last year, Kevin, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Where Emily is going with this, that she loves to make fun of me, I'm kind of the butt of most jokes, is I'm the only single male on this team. So what do you think Chase Bank, that poor receptionist, thinks when I walk in there, no rings on, and I ask for 12 $100 bills, right? Like, where do you think she thinks?
1,200 $1
right?
bills.
Where do you think she thinks I'm heading? It's probably not to church, right?
Headed to Vegas.
So, well, Vegas would be nice. Some
or someplace else.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my job.
We
but-
love it. We're gonna just make him do that forever because it's hilarious when he like literally walks back to the office with a duffel bag of singles. So good.
By the way, do you know how weird it is to walk into a gas station and buy 1,200 lottery tickets? Like, people are like, "Oh, that poor guy. What's he's really going one last effort here." So anyways, we like to have fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Again, the intention of a sticky, guys, is that it either sticks around or it makes people laugh. And if it makes you laugh, even better. All right, cool.
And it eases into asking for addresses too, I think.
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
Yep.
You're like,
Because
oh,
that's-
this is
that's an
my team's
important-
doing this fun thing.
So that's
Yep.
one quick important part there, right? We talked about the conversion of 2 to 12, 6 to 1 based off the Red Book, right? That ratio of conversion is based off people with full contact information. So if you have 400 people in your database, but you've only got 100 with full contact information, you will get people where you only have emails and things like that. But in terms of your conversion, these ratios are off of full contact information.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to be building, and addresses are always the hardest one to get. So to Catherine's point is, it's very easy to collect addresses when then again, you are adding value. I'm sending out my holiday card. We send out lottery tickets around, St. Patrick's Day. Can I get your address? That's a very easy way to get addresses that then help convert at that ratio that we talked about.
Yep. All right, you guys, here's the low hanging fruit of the 33 touch. These are the mass emails. Okay. And mass emails are easy to do. They're free, right? So you can use Command, you can use other services that have automated ways of pushing out emails for free. I think on our team, we actually use MailChimp. So it's not free because we have so many people in our database, but I think there is up to X amount is free. And these can be branded with your images, and you can modify them every month. But here's the deal. So we send these out twice a month. And they go to everybody in our database, all of our Mets, and actually we include our non-Mets in this part. And so there's two that go out each month. One is a call to action, and that would be something that would ask for the recipient to do something like register for a webinar, or do you want to know what your home is worth? Reach out and we'll do a free CMA. Or do you want to connect with a tax attorney? Like it's very action oriented and providing value, obviously, because that's what we're all about. And then the other email that we send is all about branding. So that might be, here we are at our latest charity event, or, we expanded to Milwaukee, or a cool listing that we have that's worth noting. So again, one email is a call to action and one email is branding. So that should hopefully kind of put you guys like in the right frame of mind to get these out. But here's the deal. This gets this gets our agent friends like tripped up all the time. Guys, do not worry about getting these perfect. Okay. So we have seen time and time again, agents who are trying to write the perfect content and have the perfect messaging, and it all has to look and be branded beautifully. And guys, it doesn't matter. You guys know when you get emails in your inbox and it's like a newsletter, don't call it a newsletter, by the way. You know that you're looking at it briefly and you're probably just deleting it, and that's okay. That's really the intention here, is that you push something out, it has your name on it, it reminds them that you're in real estate, it reminds them that you're adding value to the world, and then ultimately they delete it. They probably even delete it before they read it, or at a minimum they glance over it and then they delete it. Okay, so just be careful that you're not like striving for perfection. Just push something out so that you remind your sphere that you're in real estate.
Yeah, and I can't really belabor that point more, right? Like that's so important, right?
Yeah.
Because one, we can look at the open rates, and the open rates are low. Even as, good looking as Emily is and as average looking as I am, like you'd think they'd open more, but they don't.
Nope.
Molly can see it, and we try to make our content good. We care about it, but the open rates are still low, right? And the other example of that is we've all walked into the office where we've seen the new agent that it's July and he or she is working on their Thanksgiving postcard, and they're working on it and it's going to be the best Thanksgiving postcard you've ever seen.
Right.
And then it's like November 5th and they're still working on the Thanksgiving postcard, and you're like, girl, like you better, that's going to be next Thanksgiving at this pace, right?
Right.
Just get it out there.
Get it out.
Because it's going to be top of mind. They look at it and then they're going to throw it away.
Yep.
So
And if there
that's
is an error,
really-
someone will reach out to you, and that'll be a touch. Then you know that
Yeah.
they're reading your email and they're engaging with you, and
Yeah.
they're looking out.
Yeah.
But that's really, really important. And that circles back to like the first things you do as an agent. You need to be spending your money, spending your effort on the things that have the greatest rate of return. If you want to spend a lot of time on something on your lead gen, it needs to be on your quarterly touches. Be thoughtful, think about building a relationship, getting into their world. That is time well spent. The second step is some fun stickies, things that will stick around, things that, make people laugh and things like that. And then the third, and it should also get the least amount of your time, is your automated emails. Make them look professional, but you got command, you've got it, get it out there.
Yep. Cool. Okay, guys, we have some time here for questions. We've got a little bit more content to go through, but the 33 touch usually brings up a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity. So anything, shout it out. We'll pause here for just a moment.
Or
What do you got?
anything that you've done that you've
Yeah,
had good
or
success
share.
with, types of touches, types of sticky equivalents.
Anything. Anybody? Bueller. No? You guys, you're all so smart. You've got it down perfectly.
Oh man, I wanted to learn something.
Yeah, well, okay. So here's the thing. If you guys have your 33 touchdown perfectly, Kevin and I fully expect to be on your mass email list, right? Because we gave you our email addresses and we are people to connect with. You've met us. So we'll look forward to getting your emails in later this month. All right, cool. Let's keep moving. All right, guys. So we're really good every day. We wake up and we talk and think and brainstorm about how to make money, right? That's the first thing, certainly the first thing that I think about every morning. I'm like, coffee, money, let's go, right? That's every single morning. But what we don't think about a lot is what's holding us back from making money. That's like the step two, the other half of it, okay? We're really good about like, oh, I got to get clients, I got to do the okay? But what's holding us back from making money, I would imagine for a lot of us, it's the fraud complex. And this comes up a lot for new agents, but I'm telling you, it comes up for more seasoned agents as well. And it comes up for me every single day. And here's what I'm talking about. This shows up in my life, and you chime in two different ways. But way number one is that here on our screen, we have a doctor, a lawyer, and a realtor. Okay. So think about the doctor and the lawyer. They had to get their degree and to get their job, they had to go through a ton of schooling, a ton of training, lots of testing, a boatload of student loans, right? It's a very complicated, challenging process to go from being, a college kid to being like a full-blown physician, right? There is lead up of years and years and years. And by the time you get your degree and you get hired as a physician, you are qualified. You have learned a lot. You've been through the ringer. You are ready to go, right? Same thing with an attorney. You take the bar exam and then you are qualified. You've learned a lot, right? Now think about what it took to become a realtor. It took what? I did an online course.
I did mine online
Yeah.
while I was still in New York.
I had never met a realtor. That is 100% a true story. I'm not kidding. And it took like a week or something online. And I failed my first test because I didn't think it was going to be hard.
I didn't.
It is hard. It's very hard.
It wasn't that hard.
And then I took the test, 24 hours later, the questions were exactly the same and I passed. And then I was like a qualified realtor, but like I had no idea how to get a client and sell a house. Like, gosh, no. So when we step into this industry and we're like an expert, right? A real estate expert, which is what our friends and people like to call us. It's like, no, I am not an expert at all. Really, truly, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And so what happens is that we're a lot of times we're afraid to call our people. We're afraid to go to an open house. We're nervous about writing contracts. We're nervous about all this stuff. And it sort of holds us back because the truth is we really aren't educated and we really, truly aren't prepared. Did that come up for you when you were new?
Yeah, completely. And what this turns into is the Mets versus non-Mets conversation, right? And that's probably our next slide.
Yeah, where we're going.
But what this comes down to is you've got two different ways, right? Like I talked about earlier, unless you graduated college and or whatever at 20, you got into real estate, right? Unless you've been in real estate your entire life, your entire network, your friends, your families, all those things, they know you as something else, right? They would have known me as a golf pro, right? They would have known Emily being in education and super smart and having her MBA and all these things, but not as a realtor, right? So two things. One is it does take a little time to change people's perception of what you do for a living, right? Now people think of me as a realtor and a really nice real estate team, right? But they didn't right away.
Right.
So two things. One is that doesn't mean you stop talking to your database, right? You can not control what they think of you. You do the same things. You run your 33 touch, you reach out them consistently. But if you're struggling with the fraud complex, right? You absolutely have to keep talking to your database, but that's where you can supplement this with your non-Mets, right? And with a non-Met is they've never met you. So they have no idea of what your previous careers were or your previous experiences. So you control the narrative. So when you walk into an open house and you've had your real estate license for 2 years or for 2 months, right? They're only going to be new unless you let them know that you're new, right? So you've got the opportunity to take these non-Mets, control the narrative from the very start. They now become a Met, but they don't know, they don't have this previous history of what you used to do. So if you do struggle a little bit with the fraud complex, we're not saying you get to stop talking to your database because your database is still where your rate of return is by far the highest. But you can supplement that with doing the activities to get new Mets, create them, turn them into Mets, and now you've controlled the narrative of how they think of you. Okay. The two things on non-Mets that you need to know is they're way more effort and they're way more expensive.
Way more expensive.
So there are all sorts of things that you can do to create non-Mets, right? The FSBOs, the cancels, the expireds, the farming, open houses constantly, all that type of marketing. And that could be part of your lead gen strategy. But one, know that it's more expensive. Two, that it's more work. And three, you only have the right to do that, at least on our team, after you've talked to your database. So if we have an agent that says, I want to order these numbers so I can do cancels, I can do expireds, I want to farm Thiensville. Awesome. We'll talk about that from a business perspective. Have you touched your sphere the way you're supposed to each month and hand it into Molly at the end of the month? If the answer is no, guess what? We're not farming Thiensville. Okay. You didn't do your job first for your own good. So that's how we think of the fraud complex and how it can kind of work into your overall strategy.
Yep. And the fraud complex, like I said, guys, and Kevin took it a step further, which is like it shows up in these two ways, right? One is that we're not educated on day one. We are not trained on how to be a realtor. We're trained on how to take a test and pass it, right? Very loosely. And then the other way that it shows up is that our friends and our family, they think about us how they previously thought about us. So those two things combined, it's no wonder that a lot of us show up on our first day or first year or first decade and we're like, gosh, I don't know if I'm good enough. Who am I to sell this $1 million house, right? But here's the difference between Kevin and I and a lot of new agents that we work with, or a lot of agents that have the fraud complex, is we recognize it, and we have the ability and we have the motivation to listen to the voice in our head. And it's in my head a lot, probably more than Kevin's. And I've been dealing with it, and I will continue to deal with it, but I listen to it, I hear it, and then I stomp it out. It's like, okay, I know what's going on here. I know why I'm nervous to call this person back is because I don't feel like I'm qualified. Okay. So Emily, are you qualified? No, but guess what? How are you going to get qualified? You got to call them back. Right. That's how we learn. Right. It's like, think about a 12-month-old baby or a 14-month-old baby, whenever kids start to walk, right? Babies don't not learn to walk until they can walk, right? They're not like, oh, I'm going to stop trying. I'm only going to start walking when I can walk. No, they just keep crawling and pulling themselves up and falling and crawling and pulling themselves, and then eventually they learn to walk. But they don't just go from laying on their belly tummy time to walking, right? They have to stumble, right? So you guys have got to do that, right? You've got to just like be okay with the mistakes, be okay with not knowing what you're doing. And that comes back to our very first conversation that we had when we started an hour ago. You guys have to rely on the people around you. You have to have faith that Jordan's going to help you. You have to have faith that we're going to help you. That people are going to help you. So if you have fraud complex, that's okay. Just push forward. Okay.
We might have had a couple questions.
Yeah. What do we got
pop up
for
there
questions?
in the chat? I'm not sure. Anybody's got anything?
We got stuff.
No
You guys are
questions, just me chiming in.
Oh, all right, cool. All right, well, we are getting close to the end. So we just wanted to wrap up. Kev, I know you're always better at just talking through this slide. This is our basic like pipeline of a deal. So talk us through why we need to care about METs and lead generation and all that.
Yeah, and this just kind of summarizes the whole thing, because the point is, right, even it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business, right? It can get overwhelming. You can kind of start chasing shiny objects. You can kind of do all sorts of things. And you're like, I just went to work all day and I'm not really sure what I just did, right? Like, what do I do for a living, right? People literally ask, what do you do, right? So 2 points, right? From the 33 touch perspective, you literally just have 2 jobs, is to grow your MET database and to consistently remind them you're in real estate. That is what a 33 touch is. Consistently, structurally, on a consistent basis, reminding them you're in real estate. That's job number 1 encompassed into the first part of the presentation. And then you just got to remember, like, what are you doing, right? You create METs, you market to them, and then a MET at some point raises their hand for an appointment. You have an appointment, and then you land that, and now they're into your pipeline, right? They're now a client. Then you move them up your pipeline from red to yellow to green based off their timing. They sell a house, and then they go right back up to the top, and they're a MET again, right? So that's what you're doing, marketing to your people and then working them through the chain and then right back up to where they are. Okay. And they never go away. They never not become a MET. You can't unmeet someone. You might wish you might have unmet a few people, but you can't unmeet them. So they stay in there.
Right.
And that's really, that is just the circle of life of lead genning and working people from METs to an appointment, to pipeline, to converting on a sale, and then back to the top.
Yep. All right, you guys. So that's it in terms of content that we have for you. However, we have a few minutes. If anybody has questions, we're happy to talk you through any of this lead gen stuff or any other questions you have.
Roles on our team, anything. We're happy
What do
to
you
answer
got?
anything.
So you mentioned farming and adding people to the MET. What is your go-to method of doing that?
For
on your
farming?
team? Farming, is it door knocking, calling?
Yeah,
Open.
good question. So I think Kevin mentioned that we have a few people on our team who have earned the right to do cold lead generation. Catherine being one of them on our team, and she's got a farm. Catherine, do you want to tell us a little bit about your farm and how we market to them?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I just recently bought my own house up in Thiensville. We've mentioned it a few times, and with COVID and everything, it's been hard to meet people. So I basically came to Kevin and Emily and was like, listen, if we're going to really make a name for ourselves in Milwaukee, and I really feel passionate about my little neighborhood, because within the last year, 47 houses were sold in my little town of Thiensville, which is like a very small population. So we basically came up with a hybrid farm where I wrote 120 handwritten notes to my neighbors, put my business card in, and mailed them out. And then the next step was Emily and I went around and did just door hangers. We can't solicit in Thiensville, so we have to be a little bit more careful about that. But we can do door hangers. And then this weekend, we're going to hang paper bags on everyone's doors for a food drive. And since we don't have a listing in that specific area right now, we are using my house as an open house drop point, where not only are we inviting our entire farm of 120 homes, but we're also inviting my sphere and Emily's sphere that's in the Milwaukee area to participate in our food drive. So not only are we adding value to our own business, but we're adding value to the community, and we'll find ways to capture those names and addresses and just meet people. That's the most important thing that we're trying to do. So, and then we'll just 2 weeks later, we'll drop door hangers again, and then we'll just continue to repeat the process. And now that it's getting nicer out, hopefully I'll be able to be out in the neighborhood a little bit more. So we're just really committing to that farming, and we do send out postcards as well.
Here's what you want to know about farms, right?
Yep.
Because that's one way to take a Met and add them to your Met database, right? Open houses are free, typically, things like that. Farms convert at a ratio about 50-1. Emily just broke it down how your database about 60-1. So if Catherine has rounded down to 100 people in her farm, after 12 to 18 months of consistently farming this neighborhood, she will get 2 deals. Okay. So you need to know that. Now we think Catherine's great. I think Catherine could maybe turn that into 3 or 4, but those are the numbers, and that's in the red book as well. So 2 things. You need to factor the expense of, would 2 deals based off the expense to farm for the next 12 to 18 months make business sense? And boy, is it easier to just to market to my database where the conversion is 6-1 and it's cheaper because I've already met them. So if Catherine thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have the best 2022 yes, ever because I am marketing to my farm of 100 people, we'll say, great. Well, if 2 deals, maybe 3 next year is your definition of a great year, then you're on pace. But if you want to do 30 deals next year, that is a nice little supplement to all the other regular lead generation you're going to do.
That's right. Great question.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sure. What else you guys have? Anything else? It's 12:04. We'll take another question if anybody has one.
Since we were just talking farming and maybe we don't have any other questions, right? People have built their entire businesses out of farming. My personal view is I don't love it because it doesn't create enough diversity within your database. So the example in Chicago is there are literally agents that spent the bulk of their career marketing to Trump Tower, right? They lived in Trump Tower. They said, I want to be in high rises. They didn't expand their database, and that was what they did. And for a few years, they got some high price point things, and they'd say, well, Kevin, I sold 4 places last year and my volume was 20 million and your volume was 20 million and you sold $45,000 condos. Duh, it's easier. I only had to do 5 deals. Well, how do you think that farming, how that's worked out over the last 2 years, right? There's somebody that took themselves and really pigeonholed them into something very specific. So we believe in our people, right? The people in our database. So that is our whole strategy. When people say, do you have a niche? No, our niche is our people. And
everybody,
for the most part, we just go with them where they want to go.
Yep. And now Kevin gave a very specific example of and I know we are as well. The number one advice that we'll give you is to diversify, right? Because when one market is having trouble with inventory, another market might be eased up, right? So if you're having a tough time with that, $200,000 to $400,000 single family home market, like without like stressing yourself out, then maybe you want to look at multi-unit investment properties, or maybe you want to look at the luxury market, or maybe you want to go to a different neighborhood, like whatever you have to do, but diversify so that you guys can stay sustainable throughout any market, no matter what's going on outside of your control. And
all you actually have to diversify is the people that you're meeting.
Yep.
Because they will take, their life will take them in different directions. They'll move to a different price point. They'll move to a different area.
They'll buy an investment.
Different type of product, things like that. So you don't even need to think about, oh, should I focus on multi-unit? Should I focus on whatever? Just meet more people, and they will naturally kind of spread the web of where your clients will go.
Yep. And we struggle with this up in Wisconsin, and Kevin's main point of advice is really diversifying my open houses. That's something that we're working through when listings are up, but that's an easy way to meet people. It's, maybe driving a little bit further than you wish, but, diversifying the areas where the inventory is. Like right now, for instance, Brookfield and Waukesha, so Lake Country area has way more listings than, my area that I would prefer to be in. So, just diversifying like where you're working is really helpful too.
Yeah,
Yep.
and on the point of open houses, if we have one thing that we focus on the most to meet non-Mets and turn them into Mets, it's open houses because
Yep.
they're free. And to Catherine's point is people rarely buy in the area that you met them at the open house. You meet them in one neighborhood and they were just hanging out at their in-laws that day, but they really live in downtown Milwaukee or whatever the equivalent is. And they often kind of stray outside their price point. So
Yep.
again, just do more of them and open it up and you'll meet more people and you'll just see where it goes.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
okay.
All right, guys, meet people, tell them you're in real estate. Everything else, you can worry about that at a later date. Cool? All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much. We'll stay on.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you, Emily
kinda
and
wrap
Kevin.
up this
Appreciate
little
your
spot.
time.
Thank you guys so
Thank you,
much
guys.
for joining
Thank you.
us.
Don't
We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll stay connected forever.
Perfect.
Jordan.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kevin. Thanks, Molly. Thanks,
Thanks, Jordan.
Catherine.
Bye,
Everyone else.
guys, everyone.
Bye. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.